Okay, I think we got Tom here now.
Man, what a nightmare! I was trying to get my PC, I put my laptop in, and it just, I don't know.
That's all good.
I'm using my phone for right now, but as soon as the updates get downloaded, I'll log on with my.
Yeah, that's all good, bro. You all good?
I'm all good, man. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right. Just trying to squeeze everything into one day. Gym, work, this, you know. Yeah. We're waiting for your detractors to get here.
I've got plenty of them. I wanted to touch on the Pro Series and everything as well. Obviously, the game got announced at Evo and Pro Series, and a lot of people are like asking me, "Hey Tom, what do I think?" etc. I'm not sure if you looked at any of the tweets that I mentioned to you on Twitter at all, or did you have a chance to look at them? Or
I didn't, because I was working when I was texting you, and then I went to the gym. I saw a couple of things where you were replying to people, but I didn't get to see everything. I don't think these guys have seen either, so maybe you could bring them up to speed of what's going on.
Okay, so basically what's happening here is, of course, we got the Pro Series announcement. Obviously it's good. I'm glad the players got something, because they've been playing this game since day one, and I'm glad to see them get something for the time they put in. But of course, as usual, the quote unquote pro players, one of the things you hear them say is like, well, no crowdfunding. Ed Boon hinted on the crowdfunding, et cetera, and so far no news about this, et cetera. I don't understand, for these players who say they want the game at Evo, they want this Pro Series to happen. And then when it does, there's not enough money in it. We can't travel for it, etc. It's like, well, what's the point of asking for the game at Evo or a pro competition, knowing that it's basically, even the season 1 of Pro Series had in there that it's paid for by NetherRealm. Warner Brothers doesn't have anything to do with it. So that NetherRealm is doing the best they can to kind of do this for you guys, and their response is, well, not enough money. I don't know how we're supposed to pay our bills, et cetera, et cetera. Also, if you ever want to realize why we have no international competition, I have never heard Ars Lanesh say, I'm staying in Pakistan because it's not worth it for this 10K spread out between the top 8. They don't say that. You people internationally, they travel for the same $10,000 pot bonus that NRS puts out to their tournaments. That's kind of like, outside of a Pro Series finale, Mike, I believe the $10,000 pot bonus is standard on events leading up to the finale, correct?
Yeah,
it's kind of the standard, like right? So, but I've never heard JDCR or Nee or Ars Lanesh say, well, I'm staying right here in Pakistan or in Korea. Why would I waste my time? The reason why these games are bigger tournaments isn't because of the Asian audience, because Mortal Kombat outsells all those games. It's because if you're in NA and there's a tournament in Mexico, we read tweets that say $5,000 for first. I mean, look at this payout. I think I'll just stick to my region on this one. And people in EU, they say, coming to the States for what, 5,000 for first? I'll stick to my region on this one. People from the US don't go to the EU. People from EU don't go to the US, maybe just for Evo, and not even for that, even for MK1. People from EU.
Oh, your sound cut out there, Tom. You're still gone, bro. No sound.
Oh, did I cut out?
Yeah, you cut out.
I'm trying to get off the phone here. I don't know why this thing is still updating. Of course, it chose today to do 1 million updates.
That's all right.
But basically, that's why we don't have international tournaments. Why we don't have bigger tournaments? Because it's not going to happen. Like if Japan had a Japan-only tournament and nobody outside of Japan traveled, it wouldn't be big. You know what I mean? Same thing with EU, any region. But we just don't cross regions because, quote unquote, there's no money in it. Now, we all know South America has a very strong Mortal Kombat scene. But what do we say? Well, 5,000 for first, not worth my time. Everyone says the same thing across the whole world. That's the problem we have. I mean, if the problem is money to go to a tournament, it's time to rethink your life.
And so can you talk a little bit about what was going on Twitter with you? Because I saw a lot of people were coming at you for things that you were saying. What exactly got everybody bent out of shape?
Well, what happened was I didn't even realize, because I work a lot, I didn't even realize that day was the Evo announcement. So, and I didn't even care because we know it got leaked. It was a foregone conclusion. We know MK1 was going to be there. So, like, to me, it was like, okay, we already know the games that are going to be there. I was responding because I saw a lot of people saying, hey, you know, we know our game is at Evo, but how come nobody from Warner Brothers, much like today, right? How come nobody has yet to comment on the rumors of is content done? So all I did on Twitter, gave no negative thoughts. I just said, let me explain why, the business side of things, because they still want to sell units. So if somebody from WB and NRS came out today and confirmed the rumors, it would only hurt the sales of the game because, especially when it gets confirmed, people would say, well, why am I going to bother buying this Chaos Reigns or any DLC for a game that's now just been confirmed? The production is halted on, the development's halted on, it's over. And obviously they would, if it wasn't true, they would say something also, because if it wasn't true, you would want to nip that rumor in the bud, because just people believing it's true is going to hurt your sales. So it's like, they would say something if it was true, just to nip it in the bud. They haven't. The reason why they haven't confirmed it is confirming it doesn't do any good. And the reason why they haven't said like anything like, no, it's not true, you know, and just denied it outright, is because can you imagine if you're Ed Boon and you came out and you said, hey, these rumors, they're not true. We deny it. We're still making content. And then after the T1000, Ed Boon comes out and says, actually, we are done. He would get massacred. Like, so they can't say anything because they don't want to confirm it. Bad for business to do that. Nobody wants to be the one to deny it, because if it comes out that it's true, who wants to be the one that goes out in public and says, yeah, it's not true, and then it turns out it is? That person would get massacred, fried. Nobody from Warner Brothers, nobody from NRS wants that heat. So they really aren't going to say anything. But in my opinion, I said it was my opinion, if it wasn't true at all, somebody would say something, because just people believing it's true still hurts the sales still. And it was just nothing negative there, just the business side, and a little bit of my opinion. Didn't bash the game. The community, like, oh, you're being so negative. Why can't we be happy on the day we got Evo? Keep in mind, these are all these people who have no chance of attending Evolution because they don't want to. Coming to me about, oh, you know, we got all this good news. So I clap back at them. The fact is, the Mortal Kombat community does not have any accountability. The reason why they're in this situation is because people didn't buy Chaos Reigns. Whose fault is that? Is it theirs for not supporting their expansion? No, it's Tom Brady's fault. And obviously, in some twisted worlds, MikeHollow's fault. Is it our fault that the numbers are bad, that they don't show up to support their game? No, it's not their fault. It's our fault for bringing it up. So it's like, you don't support your game. They say we should be supporting the game. People like Tom Brady and MikeHollow need to be positive and support the game. Why would people who don't buy the expansion and don't show up for tournaments talk to us about supporting the game? The community doesn't even support it. Combo Breaker is in Chicago. Harada will travel across the seas to play Tekken at Evo. Ed Boon won't even go across the street to play his own game. Even he hates his own game.
You know, when they say that you're being negative, do they ever give pushback on your points, or do they just say you're being negative?
They just say I'm being negative and then go make some receipts. And then the ad hominem attack starts.
So they, in all the time, because I was reading the responses from these people.
Yeah, I'm not relevant, all that stuff. You're not relevant. The fact of the matter is, the reason why MK people, so, you know, it's a catch-22. Because when you bring up, they want it both ways. When you bring up the low tournament numbers, and you've heard them say this to you, Mike, we're more of an online community. The online community tournaments are booming. They do say this to me. They say it to you, etc. Well, then why do you guys want this offline pro series? Why do you guys want your games at these offline tournaments, only to not show up for it and then say, well, you can't judge the count because we're an online community? They want their game to be known as a mainstream offline tournament game for the cachet. What do they always tell me? Oh, you're not relevant. Without tournaments like Evo, Mortal Kombat 1 would not be relevant. They want these tournaments there to keep their accomplishments online relevant because it's still in a quote-unquote Evo game, but don't want to show up for it. They only want it there for the relevancy. The real truth of the matter is Mortal Kombat 1 is as irrelevant as someone like me is today. I mean, it is what it is. You guys got to get your back blown out by Marvel vs. Capcom 2. They could release Fighting Streets for TurboGrafx 16, and that would have more entrants than Mortal Kombat 1.
What do you anticipate Mortal Kombat getting at Evo in terms of entrants?
350.
Maximum.
Maybe 400. And I would say Marvel 2 might hit 2K.
Damn.
Now, keep in mind, Mike, we're in a world where people oftentimes say to me and sometimes you, I don't care what people say, I care what they do. They'll say, they always reference Marvel 2. Nobody wants a quote-unquote broken game like Marvel 2. That's what they say. However, if Marvel 2 gets 2,000 entrants, what they say and what they do seem to be two different things.
Yeah, no, 100%. I to be honest with you, I was reading through the conversations. I didn't get to see the ones that you were talking about today, but obviously I put stuff up about Mortal Kombat as well. And they seem to be very focused on you because they're not coming at me for the things that I'm saying about Mortal Kombat. They seem to be like focusing all of their anger on you. And I don't really understand why, because my comment section is there. It's open. I don't delete anyone's comments. And we've welcomed them to come here today. Yeah, okay, we've got somebody that's joined. Let me add him to the stage. Dragon Eye, can you hear us?
Yeah, yo, what's going on, Mike? What's up, Tom Brady? Hear me?
What's up, man?
Yeah, we can hear you, bro. How you doing?
So, yeah, I'm doing pretty good. How you guys doing?
Yeah, all good, man. What was did you have any pushback from me or Tom, or did you just want to say something in general?
I just wanted to put my 2 cents in, so I'm not disagreeing with like anybody because at the end of the day, so the thing with fighting games is everybody's got their own like perfect fighting game, you know? Like when the new one comes out, everybody's just going to disagree that, oh, this game is not as good as this game. I mean, we saw it with that one pro player in Tekken. I can't remember who it was, where he said Tekken 8 wasn't as good as Tekken 7 or whatever, something like that, you know?
I think that was Arslan that said that.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. So I think that the problem with the FGC in general is that everybody's got like their own vision of what their perfect fighting game wants to be. And I don't know what's wrong with the community, but everybody just kind of disagrees and argues a lot about it. But one thing I am seeing, so I'm not sure if you guys are aware of the Call of Duty community with what's going on over there right now. But a similar thing's happening right there with toxic positivity and like all the negativity. So the way I see Tom Brady right now, he actually reminds me of a couple of YouTubers where they're doing the same thing. You know, they're pointing out all the flaws of what's going on right now. And they're pretty much getting a lot of pushback over calling out like all the bad stuff, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I think what happens is there's like a hive mind, and you get all these, especially with like in Tekken 8 situation. This is just my opinion of it. Tekken 8 is like it's more simple, but it's a lot more. It's packed with a lot of bullshit as well, so it's frustrating as well.
Oh yeah, with the 50-50s.
Yeah, and I think the characters are like really powerful. I play Feng Wei, for example, and there's situations in that game where I force you to guess. There's nothing that you can do once I initiate a particular situation. And I think newer players, they maybe they like that stuff because they don't feel like the other person's skill is going to instantly overwhelm them, and there's systems in the game that can stop them in their tracks and make them guess. And then the older players that put in all that work and that time are like, I can't do anything against this bullshit. The system's stopping me. So and then it creates a massive divide. At least that's what's been happening in Tekken.
Oh yeah, for sure. So on the MK communities part, so I think the problem there is that a lot of people, like in regards to Ed Boon, a lot of people seem to like really think that he's got this like grand plan that worked out for the game. But in reality, I honestly don't know if he's as involved with the MK community as he used to be after MK9. I mean, when was it? I think it was when Quan Chi was coming out. No, I think it was a little bit before that. I think it was when Omni was getting ready to come out. He was like at an interview or something, and he was getting ready to talk about like Injustice 3 or something. But at that time, I know he got a lot of pushback for that because MK1 was not in a good spot at that time because right before Omni-Man came out, we had like a month of like straight up no content. If you guys remember that.
Yeah, Tom, do you remember this? I think it's
I do. There's always, well, that point it was set. You knew every month you were going to get a character, and every other month you were going to get a cameo. So it wasn't there was no. There was a period of time when everybody thought there was going to be a patch and there was nothing.
Yeah, we got nothing. Like
And and
the
NRS,
game was busted. Like Raiden and Cyrax were OP, and everybody was just waiting for that patch that was going to fix everything. But we had to wait until like Omni-Man came out, which was like in October.
well, Raiden was fixed. I mean not Raiden. Cyrax was fixed after the first pro tournament, quote unquote.
Yeah,
fixed,
but like,
yeah.
I think he was. I think the problem was that they fixed him, but he was still OP. So we had to wait more.
Cyrax was put in the dirt the first major patch. They put Cyrax in the dirt.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's
Everybody
right.
went to Striker after that.
Yeah, I forgot that. Who was it then? I'm trying. Well, I guess it don't really matter. But yeah. Anyway, so when that whole thing was going on, he's over there talking about Injustice 3, and I remember that people were like kind of like pushing back against him, like, oh, this dude's already talking about Injustice 3. This dude needs to be talking about MK1, like fixing it, you know? That was like one of the big things I saw where people were pushing back against Ed Boon there.
Okay.
But for the most part, everybody seems to trust him. Go ahead.
The difference in the Call of Duty thing in this situation is, I don't know who those streamers are, those content creators are, so I can't obviously comment on their situation.
Yeah.
But with us here, what they do is, if someone like MikeHollow gives his opinion, let's take me. If I give my opinion, they come at me without addressing the points I'm making, and they will say, "Oh, Tom, you're just salty because you're not relevant anymore." I would much rather live the way I'm living now than making peanuts off trying to be relevant. I've lived that life. I do not have any desire to sit out front of a bracket with no tournament organizer in sight saying, who do I play next for an hour and a half? That life for me is over. I've put in my time. More time than anyone else, I would say, doing it for 30 years successfully. But they will attack me by saying, oh, you're just mad because you're irrelevant and you're mad because you want to be winning. Things that are not even true, but they try to play that card with me. Or you just want to ice clone all day, whatever. And I've done my last ice clone. For Mike, because they can't do that, they'll say, well, you're just a grifter trying to, make money off, views of Mortal Kombat, but that they never actually attack the issue. So I don't know what it is with how it is with Call of Duty, but they just try to basically change the subject from what we're talking about the game to you're just a grifter, or you're just salty because you're not relevant anymore. And nothing ever gets done. Nothing ever changes because the issues never actually get addressed. We bring them up, and then the community pretends like they don't exist. And then when you have a comment, I think I brought this up on Twitter, Mike. I don't know if you read it. But people, who says this game is dead? And I'm like, when you're a commentator, or you're a caster, or a tournament organizer, and you say, I thought we were dead, and who says this game is dead? The answer is you do. Because games that are not dead don't need a commentator or a tournament organizer to say, who says this game is dead? When you go to the doctor and you're only 15 years old, the doctor doesn't say, and who said this 15-year-old was dead? He doesn't say that because it's not normal for 15-year-olds in perfect health to be dead.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just the way, so the fact it's acknowledged everywhere. It's always the elephant in the room, but it never has to get addressed. And NRS always gets off the hook because the way like it is. So when MikeHollow was opening this up, it's like, here's your chance to come on and actually debate everything on its merits. And if you were to come on and say something and prove that I'm just being negative or not relevant, or Mike is a quote unquote grifter, if you want to come on and debate those points, we'll be glad to. But the problem is they don't do that, because you look stupid if you go on a stream and come on and we say, hey, what's going on, mate? What's your talking point? And they say, Mike, why don't you go back to EU? Nobody cares. You sound like an idiot.
Yeah,
everybody just wants to hide behind a keyboard and screen,
Grifter doesn't mean anything anymore. I mean, I made a video the other day talking about MKX. I'm going to read out this super chat in a second, Linkway Lucas, but I just wanted to address this whole grifter thing. A lot of these guys I've seen some of them calling me grifter, some of them in the UK as well. These are guys that I beat in Mortal Kombat tournaments. These are guys that I eliminated in top 8s that have spoken shit to me. And I was playing in MK tournaments. I've got proof on my channel of me winning grand finals. The first time I lost the grand finals was against Foxy Grandpa.
Foxy Grandpa, yeah.
I won 3D Mortal Kombat tournaments. Even though they were small over here, I was still out here playing the game with people. Foxy was the first one to beat me. Then I went around the country with a team. We beat every other team in the UK, and we won. I've got the proof on my channel. So I don't know. I don't know what they think grifter means, but at the end of the day, if a game comes out and it does not serve its community, or I don't feel like it's done a good job, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry that it hurts your feelings that I'm saying so. But calling me a grifter when I've probably participated in more tournaments than them and done well is ridiculous. And then they said, "Oh, he's just jumping on the MKX bandwagon." When I was the top ranked MKX player in the world for months, no one was. I was not losing. I was using Scorpion's worst variation
Inferno.
as well,
Yeah,
Inferno, and I was and I've got proof on my channel. It's not like I'm lying. My channel's right there. They can go and check it. I was #1 in the world. I got taken out eventually, but this whole grifter thing doesn't make any sense. I've been here playing Mortal Kombat longer than some of these kids been alive.
But what you said about MKX is true, though. It was successful because it was coming off of MK9, which a lot of people loved. People can talk about, oh, the balance. But at the end of the day, a game that is perfectly balanced but not fun is actually a bad game. And a game that doesn't have the best balance but is really fun is actually a good game. And I think Marvel 2 is, the most important thing is, do you enjoy doing it? Nobody says, oh, this game is balanced. They say, I like it. It's fun. People will do things that are fun. They won't do things that are balanced unless those are balanced.
That's very true.
Fun.
Yeah, as long as it's
That's
fun, I mean,
right.
it's pretty good. Because, like, I can't remember who said this, but somebody once said, if the game has bad story but good gameplay, you can skip the story. But if that game has good story but like bad gameplay, I mean, you can't skip the bad gameplay. It's still that's the game.
Yeah, Mortal Kombat X really captured the soul of Mortal Kombat, and it was the only game to successfully merge the majority of the older community from 9 and some of the newer players. 11 didn't do that. People will point to 11 sales, but MK11 was released with a lot of deodorant.
Yeah, it was way too slow.
Well,
I didn't like it.
MK11 came out, and if you look at the competitive aspect of MK11, you say the game was launched with characters only having 2 bare bones variations, in which for pretty much every character, only 1 variation was viable. So it was released very bare bones in a competitive state. But casually, what could you do? You could do Shang Tsung's Island. You could do Towers of Time. You had the story mode. You had the classic towers. And then you even had a custom variation system where you and your friends could customize any variation. There were no banned moves and none of that garbage, right?
Yeah.
And kind of make your own stuff. So for a casual, i.e. the majority of the audience, MK11 got released with a ton of deodorant to mask a lot of its issues. But eventually, that deodorant was fast drying, and it dried and it wore off, and then the game was forced to continue on its own merits, and it just wasn't very good.
And then it dropped off.
It had a lot of deodorant when it.
Yeah.
Tom, could you so Linkway Lucas donated $5. Thank you, bro. And he said he's been banned in the Louisiana MK scene because he's echoed your views on the game since MK9. Is this something that you're aware of players like getting pushed out because they are echoing things you're saying?
Yeah, not only that, and at that time, this even happened to my sponsor, Brandon, the great Brandon Alexander for Ultra Arcade. In MK11, even before any drama happened with me, whatever, when the game first came out during E-League, I had quite a big following, and E-League still ostracized me out of their league. So I had a lot of supporters who would go into NRS's chat, and maybe this is why people are afraid to come out and support me these days. And they would, because NRS would do a combat cast before they kicked it over to the E-League live stream. And I'm not sure if there are people even still here that were banned. Maybe I'm sure some can share that story. They'd be like, we want to see Tom play. We want to see Tom play. And mentioning me was an automatic ban on the NetherRealm channel before E-League. And it even happened to my sponsor at the time, Brandon Alexander with UA. They banned him for saying, I want to see Tom.
They actually banned
him in the NetherRealm. They would unban you like next week if you asked for it. But if you continued to ask for me to see me play in that league, they would ban you again the next week.
That's crazy.
Do you know specifically who the people were that were doing the bans?
I have no idea who runs NRS's channel.
I would love to get them on here to ask them what the hell they were thinking. That's so ridiculous. That's so childish.
I mean, that's pretty petty, but it happens, I guess.
It is what it is. Who cares?
EA, thank you for the $5 donation. Jack's not being a main character is a crime. Is adding a cameo a lazy tactic instead of giving us full characters with full movesets. I don't know.
So
what
I can actually answer that thing. So I know a lot of people were wanting the special forces to show up in the Combat Pack 2, but I think it was Ed who said it, that he actually didn't want to put in any of those characters at all because of the story, because he didn't want to stretch the story like thin, which I think is BS. I think they should have been in the game, but whatever.
What story?
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
You could have. I mean, they did the whole multiverse thing. You could just say they're from other universes. That's all you had to do.
I mean, let's tell the truth of the situation here. The best story they did was MK9 and maybe a little bit of MKX. In MK9, here's what Ed Boon did. All right, boys, we're just going to retell John Tobias' story, the real brain of Mortal Kombat, who created the story and everything. We're just going to retell his story. And then the minute Ed Boon went off with their own NetherRealm Studio stories, they were shit. And they had to reboot it once and reboot it again and reboot it again. When that happens, that means what you are doing is not good. I mean, it's just not good. Myself and MikeHollow could have gone to NetherRealm and they said, hey guys, what do you think you're doing for story? Can we just retell MK1, 2, 3, 4 and the 3D ones? Can we just retell them in something for this game? Oh, I love it. I mean, that's what they did. They retold all the stories.
Yeah.
See, that's what I was saying. MK9 had probably the best story because if you look at it, like the first half is just kind of like retelling like the original trilogy, but then the latter half tries to do something new. And I had some clown argue with me trying to say that, I can't remember, MKX or MK11 was the best story, but those stories weren't even that good because MKX, for like the main villain, he's not even in it. Like he's like in the beginning and then he don't show up until the end. And there's like so many like BS stuff that happens in the middle of it. And then MK11 has the whole thing with Dark Raiden where they just kill him off at the beginning for no reason.
Yeah, I just want to I saw a comment in the chat saying, is there a debate going on? There is supposed to be a debate going on. I know these people are watching because they show up every single time I upload a video to let me know what they think. So I know you're watching.
Oh, they're not going to hop on. I guarantee you.
Yeah, this is ridiculous. This is what happens when I go to Comic-Con as well. They say everything that they can say, and then they see me at Comic-Con and they're like, oh, what's going on, bro? And I'm like, ain't you the guy that was cussing me out in my comment section? Yeah. It's like,
just join in debate. I mean, this is a golden chance to do that. I mean, let your opinion be heard.
You won't. I don't know. So I don't know. I think maybe the Twitter brain rot has spilled onto YouTube, and everyone thinks that we're out to fight each other. But clearly, from this conversation, we had CJ on here before. Cherney's in here, even though Cherney has gone out of his way to insult me multiple times on Twitter. I'm not attacking anyone. I don't see the point really in doing it over the internet. There's only one YouTuber that manages to get a rise out of me. But yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know.
I feel like
go. I like authenticity. So what I can't stand is people not giving their real take. Like if one of the things that makes MikeHollow's channel so good is if he likes something, he's going to tell you he likes it and why. And if he doesn't, he's going to tell you why he doesn't. It's just not a universal thing. You'll watch the content creators and everything is the same. Reaction video and every reaction is like, holy shit, oh my God. That is not your real reaction. That is not your real reaction. You didn't just see a sweep and go, oh my God, is that his sword? Like that is literally what content creation has become. And it's like, it's bullshit.
I'm talking about the perpetual soy face thumbnail.
I mean, I'm just talking about just every content video. And right. I don't want to say their names, but we got some MK content creators, and the thumbnail is like them looking like they're screaming at the top of their lungs. And it's like, is that your real reaction? Your hands on your head in shock that Homelander can fly around. I mean, like, are you stupid? Like,
can I answer that as well? Like, someone was asking me earlier today, actually, why I don't do reaction videos. And the reason I don't do reaction videos is one of the reasons that some people don't like my channel is that they say you're very boring, Mike. It looks like you're dying inside. So when a video comes out of a game that I really like, I usually just sit there going, oh, that looks cool. And I just go about my day. The only time I did a reaction was when Sparking Zero was about to announce GT and we're about to get Super Saiyan 4. Because everyone was saying it's not coming out, Obviously, everyone that knows me knows I'm basically a Dragon Ball stan. And so I did a reaction to that because, like, legitimately, I was excited to see that. But I can't do reaction videos because I'm not like that. I mean, even even in my personal life, when crazy things might happen, I don't have that over the top reaction. So it's not something that I would ever be good at.
Okay, I only had that reaction one time, and it's when they in MK11 announced a change to the variation system, and I was like going crazy, and then we found out it was just a mock. And it's just so you see my level of excitement, and then when the day before the patch happened, I found out what it was. They're like, Tom, why are you so negative? I was like, did you see my excitement? How am I not supposed to feel like someone just gutted me? Like when this is like they bring you all the way up and drop you all the way down, the NRS special. So, but there are just so many characters in this game where you look at them and they are just so watered down, and the cameo does the vast majority of the work. So if you want to say there's some creativity because the cameo in some instances can do almost all the heavy lifting, that's people's gripes.
Yeah, of course, but isn't that the point of the game? The game is surrounded by the cameo system.
But where's the freedom where for the first year, all Scorpion could do was a single move into a spear spin into a cameo? Where is the creativity? Because I can tell you this, when I'm watching the stream chats, nobody there is saying, wow, this is so creative. They're all booing the shit out of it, watching Scorpion doing the same move over and over and over again into a striker bomb or something like that. Nobody said, oh my God, you see how hype Raiden is doing Storm Cell into Cyrex 100 times a match? Nobody said, this is the most hype shit I've ever seen. Nobody, the characters are still very much pigeonholed into doing only what the cameo. And you may say, I can pick different cameos, but all those cameos are doing is lesser versions of what your main cameo does.
Yeah.
So you're not deviating from it. You're just doing a worse version of it just to say I'm having fun because I'm doing something different. You're doing the exact same thing. Look, I can say driving is fun. I can either drive a Corvette or I can drive a Ford Pinto, and driving is equally fun. However, I'm still driving, and driving is a lot more fun than the Corvette. So it's not like the same amount of, so you see what I'm saying? That's basically what it is.
Yeah.
So doing a worse version of something just for the sake of saying I'm having more fun because I'm doing it with this cameo. You could say I was having more fun doing Cyrex than Striker Bombs, but you were doing the exact same thing with Striker Bombs as you were with Cyrex. You could say it's two different cameos. It's like if you're Reiko, whether you're playing Tremor with him or with Tremor, all you were doing is what you were doing with old Darius. All Tremor did was what old Darius did and still does, just for more damage. So, and it had a better cooldown. So why play Darius when I could play Tremor?
See, but that's the thing.
Even though you just brought up Darius or Tremor, you're doing the exact same thing, and you're picking the cameo for the exact same reason.
No,
so there's no real freedom there. It's just
that's not true. You have no idea what you're talking about.
The number one reason of the Tremor and Darius cameo is the throw combo.
Is the command grab combo, the impaler combo.
Cherney, come on, man.
No, not at all. I don't
know. You're
Tremor, yes. Tremor, yes, and Tremor also. I will give to you the down 4 into stars and the uppercut and rock form to keep them safe. I will agree with you.
Where in the world is Darius? What is Darius for? Darius
are we talking about competitive, or are we talking about in general?
Is Cherney Vault going to tell me that Darius and Reiko is now this super slept-on team giving you infinite freedm?
I don't go by anything. You see all the mix-ups that you can get with Darius in the what's the assist that's not ambush? In the ambush after a knockdown, you're telling me that you don't have more options with Darius than you do with Tremor? That does not complement Reiko. How does it not complement Reiko?
Because of the cooldown that Darius has.
Now, let me finish. You can do his tactical takedown into plus frames into forward 1. That is guaranteed.
What is the best ability?
Have to block.
What is the best ability in the game that a cameo can give you?
What do you mean?
The best ability a cameo has in the game is what?
The best
availability.
Darius
the ambush
doesn't
correct.
have availability.
Yes, he does. What do you mean? Either you command grab into
You
his
are losing.
kick,
You are losing. You are losing way too much. For it's also a give and take. What you are losing to be able to do the Darius ambush. The Darius ambush is not going to give you anything that's anywhere beneficial compared to using someone like Tremor, just for example.
Which
So
one? Wait,
you're
which
losing way
ambush?
too
Because he
much.
has two ambushes. He has two ambushes. Which one?
Reiko is not good because he'll knock you down and try to do an overhead or low. Reiko is
Yes,
good.
he is. You get that mix up. It's literally a hard to blockable.
Oh my God,
it's literally
man.
a hard to blockable. I
So
do
what
it
is the
all the
okay?
time.
Well, let me ask you this: since you just made a case for Darius being the best cameo for Tremor,
I
'cause
did
you
not
found
say he was the best cameo.
you
I
just
said he
told
was a
me
good
you
cameo.
just told me that Darius makes Tremor makes Reiko a godlike
I did not
mixed
say
vortex
godlike. When
machine.
did I say godlike?
Okay, what is Reiko's best cameo?
That I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it
Now
out.
you don't know. You come on here as the Reiko expert and you don't know what his best cameo is.
So okay, again, I'm not talking about tournament
What is his
play.
best
I'm talking
cameo?
about having fun with the game. Are we talking about tournament play or the game being fun?
Okay, so what I'm saying is you can pick a cameo that is a lesser version of the best cameo and do something similar. Like you're still at the end of the day.
You can't mix up with Tremor.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can't mix up with Tremor. What Tremor move does it give you that you can mix up with him?
Are you telling me that Darius is so powerful with Reiko that it's one of his best?
Powerful. I'm saying he's fun.
It's fun.
Isn't
okay.
that the point?
Again,
That's the
okay,
point
I
of my
understand this, but at the end of the day,
My
at the end of the
argument
day,
is this game is
at the end of the day, I promise you, if you're playing Reiko and Darius, and you throw somebody and they only have 30%, you're going to do the throw combo, are you not? Of the command grab.
And what does
Okay,
that
so
have
my
to do
point
with
is,
anything?
you are primarily doing what you are already doing with Tremor to a lesser extent, and then your caveat is, but it's also it's also a little fun. It's also a little fun for me to mix here and there.
That's not what he said. You're just trying to spin his words, man. That's not what he said.
So is it okay? Is it? Am I using the grab to win the match? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is you're using them for similar reasons. The point.
I'm
the
not.
Point of,
the
point
similar
of
reason is just one thing. It only applies to one move that Reiko has. When I do an actual, like, I get to do so much.
Bro,
I keep myself safe not
having the command throw going into a combo is a deal breaker. So
Why?
you're gonna pick a cameo that does that.
Why is it a deal breaker?
Period.
There's 5 cameos in the game that give you a full combo with the command grab, Tom. In the current version of the game.
What is that not what is being used with Reiko?
I'm not talking about
not
anything.
necessarily.
I'm talking about the way I play it.
But here's the problem. Here's the problem. It's the way you play. But I can't say this about you because I don't know.
Okay,
there are
then.
plenty of versions of you.
It up, it doesn't make your argument.
Because here's why: there are plenty of versions of you that are out there in Combat League. I don't know if this is you or not. I've never played you. I play this character for fun and this cameo for fun, and I don't care about winning. Until you get lamed out and run away from somebody, and then the first thing you do is try to get 1 game out of 1,000 and teabag and leave because it's not fun for you to play that way.
No, I don't do that. I do not do that, actually. That's wild for you to even
I'm not saying you do, but I'm just saying,
I will play full sets all the time.
I understand, but it's subjective. You're telling me that because something is fun for you, it's living proof that the game has so much freedom. But you're discounting. Hold on.
There is so much freedom
and that is your opinion. But at the same time, hold on. I want you to see what I just did. I want you to see what I just did.
And it's if you're gonna say that someone
guys, don't try to not talk over each other.
Hold on.
Just before you guys continue, the reason I'm not jumping in right now straight is not because I don't know what to say. I know exactly what to say. I'm just not butting into their conversation.
Hold on. Let me just show how I set him up. Here. So he was talking about fun. And even though different point of view from him, I'm wrong. My opinion is different from him. And Choney, literally on a matter of subjectivity, which is fun, said, Tom, you're absolutely wrong. You don't know what you're talking about. And the fact of the matter is, Just like how you will say, well, I can play all this stuff and it's so fun for me. It doesn't feel limiting to me. However, for every one of you, there are 10 people who say it does feel limiting to me. And just like you are not wrong for saying, hey, it doesn't feel limiting to me, I'm having fun, the other 9 are not wrong for saying it does feel limiting and it's fun. But you are shutting down my opinion about the limitations and saying I'm right because I'm having fun and you're wrong because you're not.
That's
While
what you are
discounting
doing.
me doing it to you. So
That's
you
what
are
you're
literally doing exactly what you say everyone else does. And you are doing the exact same thing. Fun is a matter of subjectivity. What you are is annoyed that there are more people that find the game limiting in their opinion than people that find the game freedom in their opinion. And the only person you have to talk to about that is God Almighty for giving people free will. That is where your grievance really is, my friend.
No. I agree that it'll be unfun for some people. Just like I agree that.
No. Not some.
All right, go ahead.
Not some.
It's unfun for a majority of people.
It's unfun for the majority.
I think WB used to use Montreal as a QA house until they became a development studio. So there are some outsourcing QA that get assigned to stuff, and I guess sometimes things get missed. And again, those outsourcer people are not going to be nuanced hardcore fighting game people that really know the edge cases, that really can pick up Reiko in 2 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever.
You're saying all of this here, but MKX, like in my opinion, is a really good fighting game, and it comes across to me like people gave a damn when that game was being made. Is the team that works on MKX completely different? Because I know you said it had different designers, but were there people in the office passionate about MKX and testing it with each other, or was that literally like they got lucky with that game?
No. Well, during MKX, especially in QA, Stephanie was able to bring in her friends who were like local Chicago, local tournament people. These weren't people going to Evo and maybe they competed in Combo Breaker because it was in Chicago, but they definitely weren't going to like Evo and CEO and all those places. And they were just like, even in their lunch breaks and the dinner break during crunch, like, yeah, they were having matches galore. And, like I think I said earlier with you and Tom, that, Stephanie was extremely passionate and would like go into Paulo's office and be like, yo, Paulo, what's
all the time.
Why is this a high? And why is, now that you changed it to this breaks this, but this doesn't make this useful anymore. So there was strong passion, especially for MKX, in design too, because MKX was my first opportunity to do characters, because in Injustice 1, I just did Star Labs to help get that out the door. and again, with QA, a lot of those guys were, local players. That's how Dizzy came into the scene. Luckily for us, he had C# or C++ experience at a I guess he was doing bank software or something like that. And he was like, oh yeah, well, not only is
Designer
he
at another job.
I know he was a QA tester on Killer Instinct for a little bit too, which was in Chicago. But it was just like, hey, we have this QA tester that is not only a local pro player, but he also knows C++. He loves our game. He understands our game. He's friends with Stephanie. Oh, and then he won Combo Breaker against Sonic Fox, I think it was in 2015 with Raiden on MKX. And it was like, okay, let's get this guy as a designer. So we lucked out with somebody like Dizzy. But all the other hires coming in weren't hardcore former pro players. They weren't hardcore fighting game people in general. It's just like, hey, we need a systems designer that knows C++ that can help with like modifiers and economy stuff or player progression stuff. And so, we would bring in somebody that worked on an MMO as a systems designer with player progression. And so they could help out with MK11's or Injustice 2's gear leveling system or something like that. But when it came to the combat designers that do the characters, that's a very niche thing. Like, yes, like they brought me in as an associate and trained me and then gave me Liu Kang and MKX to get my feet wet, and then Jason and Leatherface. But unfortunately, like the other younger talent that came in, like they just, I don't know, maybe it was their work ethic or something. They just couldn't get it. But then we also did get a good level, a good mid-level designer that also had C++ background, and I think he's now an advanced designer, which means he's a little higher than senior. So sometimes you get lucky with hires, sometimes you don't. But again, with fighting games, especially in the game industry, it's a very, very small nuance of people.
Do you guys ever reach out to Japan or Korea or China to bring people in? Is there any interest from that side to come over and help with Mortal Kombat?
No, not really. I mean, there's Ukes, but Ukes was always like a wrestling studio.
I remember Ukes.
Killer Instinct. Once Amazon bought out Double Helix, Microsoft did buy the IP and they gave it to Iron Galaxy because Iron Galaxy had some former Midway Chicago people. I don't know if they all worked on Mortal Kombat in the 3D era, but they were from Midway Chicago.
A lot of them did. You had Winston that went over there, and Delritz went over there. So Delritz, Winston went over there. But I'm just curious because you brought this up, and I guess we don't talk about it much. During MK9, we didn't really have like matches going off like that. Like it was just, and MK9 was released in the MK9 state. But it was still fun. But it was just a bunch of testers, guest testers, and the QA we didn't really mix. Ferrier would come over a little bit, and maybe Adam Hernandez would come over for a little bit, but not too much. You noticed a huge difference once they hired Stephanie. There was a lot when she was still a competitor, and during Injustice 1, I mean, there were matches going on nonstop. Like while I was there, I stayed with Dizzy and Stephanie, and with Rio as well because he was there as a tester, and there were matches going on constantly in Injustice. I mean, constantly, and in MKX especially, even more so in MKX than anything else. I think MKX had the most amount of QA testing from a competitive level that I've ever seen in the history of NRS. There was just matches going on constantly. People were playing each other nonstop. We got the most amount of guest testing time, the most amount of input. It was the most I've ever seen QA have former tournament players there. And of course, MKX probably had the most hype launch of any Mortal Kombat game ever. And it was probably the most well-received at launch. And there's just, I wonder what it's like in Japan. Like, how are those studios? Like, are they like playing the game? Are there matches going on constantly? Like, I wonder why those games keep their soul and spirit there, or like kind of like Mortal Kombat did for a little bit. Like, I'm just wondering what the difference is in the atmosphere in those studios as opposed to like a North American studio.
Probably a lot of pride in their work too. Because with North America, it can be very fickle, and also with like people kind of get bored in their career with and be like, oh look, there's an opportunity for me to be a designer at Respawn on Jedi or whatever, and so then they go and leave, and then there's like really nobody to fill that gap. Yes, you can find the young people out of college, and hopefully they're like, yeah, I want to learn fighting games. Yes, I want to learn how to design the next Liu Kang for whatever game. But then that person is also like, well, I'll come here. Most of the time they're like, I'll come here, get my feet wet, get that first AAA credit as a designer, and then move on to where I really want to go, which is probably Blizzard or probably Bungie or whatever. So
what do you think killed the passion there? Like for me, obviously Stephanie was still not an MKX. It was really Stephanie, when I was there, had not decided if she wanted to be a competitor or not in MKX and kind of like hang it up and retire. I know Dizzy for a while competed in early MKX, for CEO, and then combo breaker, and then of course we had that set. For some reason, people still bring up that set we had at Evo, which was a very fun set. But I know Dizzy was a competitive player through Evo in that game. It just seems like as the competitive players decided they were just kind of like not even play for fun anymore. We'll just play to test the game and whatever. The soul just kind of got sucked out of there. What was it? What was the turning point in where MK was all about Mortal Kombat and what MK is to just, hey, I'm just trying to, move along and get a check and go home?
I think probably around MK11, because MKX was extremely fun. Even though I was crunching my ass off, like I was having fun. It was great to work on it. I think when people started to leave around MK11, especially in QA, that's when it started to go a little bit. And then, there was also some internal politics, especially with like job titles and what you're doing as a lead compared to what you really should be doing as a lead. And, and also not getting an opportunity to be like a director or, whatever the next thing is on the matrix of the corporate ladder for design. And so a lot of people just kind of moved on. And again, like people here, it's like, if you have an opportunity in your career at a competitor or whatever, you're gonna, you most likely take that job because it's more money, it's a higher position, you actually will have some say or power. So
can I ask you a question? Oh, never mind. Go ahead.
It's just I don't want to forget this because someone's just brought it up. This is kind of off topic to what you're talking about now, but is there ever been any talk in the office whilst you were there about doing a follow-up to Shaolin Monks?
I can neither confirm nor deny that.
Oh, damn. All right.
Rumors.
Maybe I want to. If y'all want some good sales,
I just want to say one thing to just Kage really quick because I want to say I enjoyed the back and forth. I'm glad you're having a lot of fun. And actually, I have a lot of friends who, over the years, as me as a competitive player, and they weren't, would make the same argument to me. Like, but why? Why does it take you playing the most dominant tactics with the most dominant characters to enjoy the game? And that really is just a fun argument. I mean, some people can just play anything, don't care if they win or lose, don't even care if they're doing the primary function of anything. And they can just say, hey, these two things don't even go well together. But hey, I have fun doing it, and we'll look at other players and say, but why is fun for you playing what's meta? That's why it's called what's meta. I mean, that's pretty much how the game runs at its most effective rate, which most people are going to do in a fighting game. A fighting game is by natural a competitive game. It's not like you're playing Diablo or something like that. So that's just, different strokes. More people are going to find the other way fun, and if there's some limitations on playing that way, they're going to say the game has felt limited. I just wanted to answer that question for you, but I enjoyed the back and forth. I just wanted to say that.
No,
I have a problem with the cameo system. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say I enjoyed also the back and forth. Even in my everyday life, I kind of enjoy some back and forth between people, but it's all respect. To even like come up with some arguments. I've watched tournament plays. I've even watched you play in tournament, and then I recently saw a video between you and Sonic Fox where you played Grandmaster and he tried to play Unbreakable, but that didn't go so well for him. And I just, you're a strong player. You speak your mind. So you and Mike both, I definitely respect both of you. No hate at all. I just disagree with some of the things, and I try not to make the argument about having fun and it being creative. I'm not gonna say it's more creative than any other NRS game. That's a losing argument. But I will I just do believe that this game is creative in itself. With its
question. I'm sorry.
You good?
All right, good. All right, I have a question for. Why the names disappear? I forgot the guy's name.
Because I've got the super chat. We'll do
Bloody,
the super
was it
chat
Bloody
after.
Count?
Blood count.
Blood
Yeah.
count.
Blood count. Okay. I had a question for you. This is regarding NRS. Look, man. Just give me your honest opinion. Do you think the way that NRS is right now? You just said that they used to be passionate in the MKX days until MK11, right? Where you're just basically working for a check, right?
Yeah.
Well, well, the thing is, do you think? Well, since the low sales of Chaos Reigns, do you think that would get through to them on the next game that they make? Like, do you think that will instill passion into their games again?
I want to say yes, but my gut is telling me no.
I think the problem here is that that's more of like a WB thing, because at the end of the day, like, no matter what NRS wants to do, WB has okay, you guys are making an Injustice 3 game, or you guys are making an MK game, especially after the past few years where they're more economically challenged right now and they want to maximize as much profits as possible. And we've been seeing there are lesser studios lose a lot of creative freedom over what game they want to make. I mean, you look at Rocksteady, supposedly we were supposed to get a Batman Beyond game, but they got told no, and they had to make a Suicide Squad game instead.
Yeah, see, those are stuff I can't speak to.
So you said that you're hoping, yes, that it would get through to them, but your gut is telling you no. See,
because to me, it's because of kind of a thing of hey, we've built this franchise for 30 years. We kind of know what we're doing. Okay, so we had a bad route with this last game, but we're gonna stick it out. We're gonna stay with this story mode or storyline from Chaos Reigns and make it work. Now
the NRS kind of reminds me of the Pittsburgh Steelers, man. And Pittsburgh.
I have a question for you also. It ties into that. So we have the great Turney Volk here, who has oftentimes argued to me privately that he believes an executive from Warner Brothers ordered NetherRealm Studios, you will use the cameo system and you will gender swap characters. He believes that was an executive order and has told me that it cannot be proved otherwise.
I don't think the cameo part is true.
Who said that?
Tom, why you lying about him?
That's exactly what you said. I have the recording still, Turney. I have the recording. I still have the recording. Don't make me air it.
See, I can believe the gender swap thing, but the cameo system, I think that's an interesting.
Don't speak over each other. Let blood count.
That I don't know with WB. I know there is a team of marketing and analysts and all that stuff from WB that do speak with Ed and whoever else is in his team for that. As for gender swapping, I want to say no, but it's probably, we all know the truth to that, especially with the DEI pushes. As for cameos, I think it was hey, we have this idea, it's being prototyped, this is the direction we're going to go, here's the vertical slice with it, and then WB is just oh, okay, yeah, we trust you, because that's the one thing too is WB actually never did step in and say you have to have this cameo system. We decided, hey, we have this system, it's working, it's a new feature. Now you have 16 different new character variations to play with. So, that was definitely a creative NetherRealm decision, not a WB.
Okay, well then how about this one? Because this is oftentimes argued by the community, that somebody from Warner Brothers says, hey, you have to start from scratch every single time. Because when Mike and myself use that talking point, many people on Twitter would say well, how do you know? It could be Warner Brothers that says you've got to scrap it and start over again. You don't know, you're not there. Is that just a creative NetherRealm decision? Warner Brothers says make a game that can sell with this budget and this time frame, and the creative decisions are more so up to the studio?
No, that's actually a NetherRealm decision.
Oh God!
The creative decisions.
Oh God, help us!
Nobody.
God help us!
Nobody from
it's over with.
Nobody from WB flies in or calls in and say like, yo, scrap what you did for this game and that game and start fresh. No, it's just a decision to be like, you know, here's some new moves that Liu Kang can do, and here's a cameo system we can do, and let's go do it. You know, I did say before, I think it was during Injustice 2, where it's kind of like, let's just bring over the entire moveset of Batman from Injustice 1 into Injustice 2 and then make little tweaks here and there. And then it just realized like, nah, it kind of look better if we actually have some new animations and new attack animations, even though it would be like the same combo, but, you know, a little.
But you know what's crazy about that is that it's legacy in Injustice games because of the combos and the move sets.
So I have
but the battering had a different
question about
animation,
that
and some of
too.
Batman's strings had different animation, even though they were the same.
So
guys, just before you continue your questions, I just have to read out a super chat that came in for blood count.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've got Baby Maharaja here asking, why did they change Tanya's look and character? I'm sure you've seen all the discourse around Tanya. You know, some of it's not been great. I don't like the way some people have made arguments about it, I'll be real with you. But it is I guess it is a talking point. What was the decision to take Tanya from what she was in MKX and change her in MK1?
I think when the concept art was being made, you know, there was some pieces that came in, and then I guess it was the story director or possibly a cinema director or who else was writing the story. It was like, no, that's not what I was envisioning for Tanya. This is what I was envisioning. Or, you know, again, I'm not part of those Illuminati meetings, so my assumption is that somebody in NRS with that power was just like, no, that's not what we were going for Tanya. We were thinking more this, and then the concept artist would make the changes, and then they'd be like, yes, that's our Tanya.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Sorry, guys. Continue with your convo.
So what I wanted to ask also, like, let's see if I didn't forget. And if I did, apologies. But so when it comes to changing the game every time, so there's a band that I listen to that they are of the same mindset, literally the same mindset, where every album is different. There are some similarities, but everything is different. Isn't that good? And instead of and I know like there's some counter arguments of like Tekken, Street Fighter, but even those games, they always change their something. There's always something that changes. So would you say you guys' argument is yes, stay the same, but change like maybe minor things? Is that what
Mike, you want to take this? Because I think we have the same point of view. What Tekken does is Tekken is basically Tekken 5.0 added onto it over the course of over a decade, you know, almost 20 years.
Yeah,
exactly.
Tekken
keep the same system, but they add to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Tekken refines, and I find that Tekken and Virtua Fighter, they refine what they've got. So the people have been playing them for a long time. Like, if you had frozen me back in the Tekken 5 era and then put me in the Tekken 7 era, there's obviously new shit in there, but I'd be okay. Like, I'd tell someone, if you've played Tekken 5, you'll be okay in Tekken 6, Tekken 7, even Tekken 8, even though Tekken 8 has gone a bit overboard, like, you'd still be okay. It's still Tekken.
Yeah.
Virtua Fighter as well. Like, I didn't play Virtua Fighter 1. I started on 2. I skipped over 3 and went straight to 4, and then played 5, and it's Virtua Fighter. Like, it doesn't change. You know, if I boot up Yakuza and walk around and go to the arcade, I'll play Virtua Fighter. It doesn't change for me. But MK, if I tell someone, oh, if you like going from MK9 to MK1, you'll be okay. That's a lie. You're probably gonna get slaughtered if you go from like 1 to 9 or 9 to 1.
Even from 9 to X or X to 11, it's so aggressively different.
Yeah.
The problem is that they try to outdo themselves with every release. Like there's got to be like a selling point. You know, it's either the cameos or the combat variations, or there's always something. You know, instead of like refining what works and making it better.
That's all the
just
body.
Yeah, Just before anyone goes on, did Cross or Jamal wants to add to the conversation too, or Chris? I know you guys have been sitting in here for a while.
I did actually, because I wanted to come in from the perspective of someone who is not like a Mortal Kombat player, but tried it, because pretty much everyone here, from what I assume, you know, they've been playing Mortal Kombat for a long time. I'm a 3D fighting game player, and I started playing, the first Mortal Kombat game I had played was Mortal Kombat 9. That's because to me it was like a reboot. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna come in and play. And my perspective was I didn't like Mortal Kombat, but I was gonna try it. And I ended up really getting into it. I actually went to Tom, I actually met you at Devastation 2011.
In Arizona.
Yes. Yep. I played Katana and I got, I think, like top 16. I lost to a fucking smoke player running away from me, throwing smoke balls all day. Anyway, whatever. Like, I loved Katana and her character design. Because it felt like she could zone and she could.
You can thank John Edwards for that one. John Edwards was a big Katana fan.
Dude, I didn't even go in thinking I was going to play her. I just, as I was blabbing her, I was like, oh, this is my character. So, going on what you said, Tom, when Mortal Kombat 10 came, my favorite button was down 1. I love that button. Going into Mortal Kombat 10, when that came out, Katana felt completely different. And at first I was like, well, maybe it's because the variation I'm playing. But then I went to Assassin and I was like, well, this feels different. My character just doesn't, it's like technically Katana, the character artistically is there. Like, yes, whatever in the story or whatever. But mechanically, the reason why I'm here playing this game is gone. And so my question is that what is the mechanical identity of Mortal Kombat? Because to
That's
me,
a great
as
question.
someone on the outside,
they don't have no identity.
Yeah,
they don't have no identity.
That's what it felt like to me. Because like when I go from like Tekken, like when you said that Tekken 5 example, that was perfect. Because it was like I started playing Tekken with Tekken 6. So, and I play with Xiao Yu. And Xiao Yu has a ton of moves, and I have to put in a lot of time. I know, shut up. Don't shake your fucking head. Like, but anyway, like I had to put in a lot of time and investment into learning this character, and I wasn't even good at the end of it, right? So then when Tag 2 comes out, I feel like, okay, well, good. I get to build on that investment. I'm not good yet, but maybe by the end of Tag 2, I'll be good. But then it's like I put in that same time investment into Katana and MK9, and then in MK10, it's all gone. It feels like, why should I even put in the time investment?
Hey,
great question.
Can I respond to this real quick?
Yeah.
So, evening, how y'all doing? So, yes, similar to you, right? I played every MK game. I got into MK with UMK3, like way back in the day, man. I've always been a sucker for the ninjas. I love the color swap. That was just my thing. MK9, great, love it. MK9 felt like what it really was, which was just a revival of MK from the past, right? I didn't really care too much for the 3D games. The 3D games that I liked were like Soul Calibur. I got into a little bit of Tekken, but for the most part, I stayed on Soul Calibur, a little bit of Virtua Fighter, right?
Yeah.
Getting into MK9 felt like a revival of MK proper to me. It also still to this day kind of feels like the last time MK wasn't split and didn't have a split community. And what I mean by that is MKX, when they brought in the variation system, you have two different parts of the community that enjoy MKX or hate MKX for different reasons. MikeHollow loves MKX. I hate MKX. I could not stand getting 50-50 to death. That was just, it wasn't for me, right? It just wasn't for me. Nothing against the art style. I just hated getting 50-50 to death. And I don't think that it was very intuitive to have a run button that just basically meant you always have Oki no matter where somebody knocks you on the screen. You can have a zoner that just has Oki randomly, even though they just zoned you halfway from your life. So that to me just didn't seem like very intuitive design overall, but I do understand the people that love it. It's a fast-paced, fun, creative game. I will not take that away from it. But that did signal to me the start of them splitting their community in two different ways. Are we going to try to make a competitive game, or are we going to try to make a fun game? And it's very hard to do both, right? I think Street Fighter has kind of figured out how to do both, in a way that's meaningful but keeps competitive integrity. MK has been trying to do that since MKX. They have been. MK11, their thought process was, let's keep the variation system because everyone loved that. But we also don't want everyone to have super oppressive Oki. So let's give a million wake-up options. And also, let's strip away everything and make it about nothing but footsies. And every player in MK11 tries to find every way to exploit that, which is how you end up with flawless block on hit and jumping being super overpowered. Again, you split
that's because that game was not made for airborne superiority like Cabal, Jackie, etc.
Right. So now you again.
Sorry, just before you continue, someone's playing music. Could whoever it is, could you turn it off, please?
My apologies. It's probably my controller. I was playing Street Fighter.
Oh, okay.
So then again, this continues the split of, okay, what do we want out of our game? What does our community want out of our game? And like Tom keeps saying, they keep obtaining new people with each iteration of MK, but they're losing their prior crowd. Most of the people who liked MKX did not like MK11. A lot of the people who liked MK11 don't like MK1. And they don't re-pick up their crowd from MKX to MK1. I have played all of them, and by and large, in my opinion, MK1 is the worst one that I have played personally. My gripes with it, I've already spoken to Cherney about it. My gripes with it are simply that at this point, because I think they've put a lot of work into the game to make it better than what it was on launch. On launch, that game was atrocious. It was horrible. There's nobody that can tell me otherwise. I think they have done better. But my gripe with it today is that it does not, they're still trying to make a game that has its own identity and does something quote unquote different, but you cannot continue to try to break the mold when it comes to standard fighting game things. If you're going to make an assist game, fighting games in general, we all know that offense is going to be stronger than defense. It has to be in order for someone, for viewing purposes and for playing purposes, offense always has to be stronger than defense. However, that does not mean that defense should be either non-existent or very minimized. What defensive options or rewards are you given from anything in MK1? Your reward for blocking often is to block more. And if you flawless block, it might negate chip. And that's about it. There are, again, comparing it to its peers, the modern fighting games, look at the defensive options you have in Street Fighter and Tekken. You have far more than just, hey, guess right and hope that you don't get thrown for a 30% for even guessing right or taking the throw.
Well, I'd say you have more defensive characters as opposed to defensive.
And that is true. You do have defensive characters, and this is not a very mechanically heavy game.
Points, and they both kind of piggyback off each other. For one, Mortal Kombat, so like he brought up, he likes Xiao Yu, and his investment into Xiao Yu is an investment into Tekken and the Tekken franchise. MikeHollow's love for Scorpion keeps him invested in the Mortal Kombat. We get invested into our character. In order to truly love something, you have to be invested somewhere in there. Mortal Kombat is a game now for soulless mercenaries. The number one saying in Mortal Kombat, Sanford Kelly, right? What did Sanford Kelly say? Pick a top tier, right? But that's not a common saying. That's a fighting game thing. Mortal Kombat saying is pick another character. But when you have a revolving door of pick another character, there is no loyalty, there is no attachment to the characters, hence there is no attachment to the game. It is just a matter of, you're just saying that Mortal Kombat has become a game of the only reason to play it is to pick the character, the 1 to 3 characters that are super top tier, and play it for money. If you're playing to get invested in your character, don't bother, because your character is not your character anymore in the next game. And people get into MK9. He says, I love Katana. He gets into MKX. He's like, well, what character is this? People that get into MKX, they say, oh, I love Scorpion. Oh, my God. It's just sick how aggressive he is. Then they play MK11, and they're like, oh, just do forward 3 all day and fake teleport cancel. And then, right? Or you get into like a character in MK11, and you're like, oh, my God, this character's sick. And then you play him in MK1, and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, so that is kind of like the issue there. It doesn't grab you. You don't stay invested into it, and you don't stay invested into the franchise. It's a huge problem. And if you look at it, here's the real proof. MK9 and MKX, you had people who were not just tournament players, but very invested character specialists. And despite having Alien being obnoxious, Melina being obnoxious, except for the pre-patch Tanya debacle, MK9 Cabal is the way he was or whatever, but there was a good variety of characters even in top 8s or grand finals even. MK11 in the era of balance, its final main tournament ended in a Fujin mirror in the era of balance. So these are the last three major Mortal Kombat tournaments were MK11 Evo, Pro Series finale in MK1, Evo MK1. MK11 ended in a mirror of the best 2 characters in the game. MK1 Pro Series ended in a mirror of the best 2 characters in the game. And matter of fact, the Pro Series only basically had the same 2 characters for the entire top 8. And then Evo MK1 ended with the same 2 characters, the best 2 characters in the game. And how do you get that? It's not an indictment on, oh my God, MK1 is broken or whatever. You don't see this in Tekken as much as because even though there are still obnoxiously powerful characters, people are invested in their characters. Knee, when people think of Knee, they don't think, oh, Knee, he just plays any character to win, which he can play them all. But he is known for Brian. You know?
Can I ask a question off that, Tom? I want to ask Bloodcat a question based on what you're saying. The guys in the office, they understand that people get attached to characters, right?
Yes.
So can I ask, I don't know if you'll be able to answer this. I know it's a multiverse, but whose idea was it to scrap Hanzo Hasashi and have Kuai Lang become Scorpion? Because that's one of the weirdest things that I think NRS did. I can't make heads or tails of that. That's like throwing Ryu under a bus.
Yeah, Mike, before that, I got to head out really quick. We got kids and everything, bedtime and whatnot.
No worries, bro.
But I'll be listening.
Before you answer, I'm just going to say I have to get going, guys. Thank you so much for having me, Mike. It was awesome having this conversation, but I have to get going.
No worries, bro. Thank you for jumping on.
Take it easy. Take it easy, Tom.
And for people that have been playing Mortal Kombat for a long time, like I was saying to Kage earlier, by scale, it's very clear that this and MK11 I mean, you got the designer in here as well saying that MKX, the players were there. They were testing the game. And this one, there's no passion behind it. So I don't really even know why you're arguing at this point. The designers even said it.
No, there's no way that can be argued, though. Listen, there's no way that they don't give a shit about this game in terms of working on it. Otherwise, they wouldn't still be adding new moves and tools to the characters to this day that are clearly not like unfinished things that they just didn't have finished when the game came out. Like, I'm assuming you probably didn't watch like the combat cast for Conan or any of that today.
I did watch it.
Okay, you did. But I mean, I'm sorry, I just don't believe a development team that doesn't give a shit about their own game is going to keep doing things like that, especially because like new moves and animations are the #1 most expensive thing to add in development of a fighting game, especially.
But he never said that nobody there gives a shit. He said that there's a very clear difference between how many people give a shit now versus then. And it's very clear when you look at the games. And it's very clear when you see audience reception. I don't really even think that... Are you trying to tell me that when you look at MKX and then you look at MK1, you see the same level of passion?
Yes, I think I do.
You gotta be trolling.
I think
I'm sorry.
I mean, the reason they added those moves in the first place was because they said they were already going to do it like months ago. So they'd look pretty dumb if they didn't do it.
Oh God!
You see this journey, like you just made this point. You just made this point, right? And I haven't sat here and insulted you over it, even though that was an opportune moment to treat you the way you treated me earlier. This is how you have a respectful disagreement with somebody.
I'm not really phased by that kind of stuff, but like
you're trolling though, right?
No, but I think MKX is a garbage game. I think if there was a game that proved, like, people want to talk about that, they think MK has a lot about it that shows that they don't know. I think MKX is the definitive proof they have no idea how to make a fighting game. It was fun. And it was definitely fun to watch, but like, you were never watching, especially MKX, and enjoying it because of the gameplay. You were enjoying it because you liked vicariously living through the shit show that the players put each other through.
Okay, let me ask you this
But
though.
isn't fun the most important thing?
Well, it depends on what kind of fun it is, but I mean, come on, most of our
But,
top
I mean,
players
compared to
now,
like little or no fun, like because it seems like that's the argument they're making. They're having little to no fun. So isn't like more fun better than like little to no fun?
the problem is, like in, I suppose this is like a ballsy thing to say, but like, you cannot necessarily trust people when they say whether they find something fun or not, especially if they continue to engage in it. Now, Mike has like stuck to his guns, right? Because he doesn't like the game, so he doesn't play it at all. But if I see you saying that you think the game isn't fun, it lacks this, it lacks that, but I still see you getting on every day, which is something I see with tons of people, then I can't trust what you're saying. If you didn't think it was fun, you wouldn't be getting on the game every day.
Yeah,
Okay.
but you don't see tons of people jumping on because we look at the retention and we can see it's very low. So we know that there's not tons of people jumping on.
Charts, which are nothing though.
Listen, man, I even stopped playing Mortal Kombat 1 at some point.
I like to
Well,
add something real quick.
yeah.
So I got to ask you this then. So this comes from someone that played the game every day. You know, like I made it to God rank every season in ranked, and I recently took like a month break because I just got burned out. But as much as I like the game, I know it's got its flaws. You know, like some cameos are like it's not a secret. You know, some cameos are just straight up way more useful than the other cameos. Like you compare Chameleon, let me see, Serena, and then you compare it to the weaker characters like Shujinko and other characters like that. Like the cameo is getting balance is getting better, but like we're not at like peak balance yet. So now I ask you this: do you honestly think that this game is honestly like top 5 MK games?
Top 5 MK games. Are we talking like
Pure gameplay?
LS only, or are we talking midweight games too?
Any game that you've played from like the MK.
Yeah, this game would definitely be my top 5. But
That's crazy.
Listen, I also come from the old school like FGC mentality. Like, I don't know why Tom is like kind of in denial of this, but even like his podcast co-host M2 Dave, who I'm also friends with, M2 Dave and I remember everyone thought every MK game was shitty and only the MK players liked those games. They were always considered to be trash on a competitive level, on a quality of life level. The single player content, especially in the 3D games, was about the only thing that was ever considered noteworthy about those games. At least everywhere I went. I mean, I mainly hunt around in the Tekken.
Yeah, no, I felt that. I was one of those guys. That was me. Yes. Yeah, I know what you mean.
And that is the thing. I judge NRS games. Well, I'll say NRS and the midway games both. Like, I judge them by, you know, what games I liked. Aside from that, what games got me into fighting games. And truth be told, like, I kind of ended up in NRS games by accident because really what motivated me to start playing them was the fact that they were the first to officially enter like the rollback netcode arms race, which is a big deal, right? Because obviously, like, I could only stand to play Tag 2 for not much longer after it came out with the way the online was in that game. Tekken Tag 2, I mean.
Sorry, one second, Shiny. For the people that are donating super chats, I'm gonna read them out. Don't worry, I haven't missed them. I can see them on the screen. Sorry about that. Continue.
So, like, and I also had the opinion, by the way, that, like, and I know I'm a minority when I say this for sure, that I think that in the NRS era of game, I think Injustice 2 was their best game. At
I
least
agree.
if you're like a competitive dweeb, like I am, it's the best game.
Well, I did have a question for you, Cherney, because there's something I want to push back on something you said, because I see that type of comment in other communities as well when there's dissatisfaction with a game. It kind of goes like this, where I don't like this game, and then it says, then they'll say, well, do you play it? And it's like, well, I played it, but then I quit. Then it's like, well, you haven't been playing it recently, so you don't really know what the game is. Okay. But then if I continue to play the game, then it's like, well, how can I trust anything you're saying? Your actions don't line up with your words. So it's like, well, I have to continue to play in the game to have the credibility, to have the argument, to be able to make the game, like to make the argument, right? But then if I stop playing the game because I don't like the game, then I don't have credibility.
Well, okay, like here's my thing is you're like free to dislike a game or have a preference about a game. But my thing is, if you're going to dislike a game and you're going to feel justified in it, I do think, like, just as a matter of, like, how do I put this? I just feel like if you're going to be, like, have your preferences about the game, I do think you should at least, like, understand the game that you're playing. That is a problem I have with a lot of critics of this game, is that I have played with, coached, and watched people who I see are always vocal critics of the game. And it's not even a matter of the game doesn't play the way they want to. They just refuse to actually learn how to play it at the highest level. And
Okay.
they just,
Yeah, but Cherney, you came in here to say that my points were ridiculous. Not only did you not point out what was ridiculous, but nobody agreed with you. Not in the stream chat, not Tom. I'm still waiting to understand what is ridiculous.
So wait, let me ask you this then. You said that MK was one of your top 5 games then. So do you think, in your honest opinion, you think MK1 is in a good state right now?
I think it is in a good state right now. The game
Really?
was shit. The game was trash for the first 6 months. But like the biggest problem with the game in the first 6 months, aside from like content issues, was that it had a lockdown meta, and lockdown metas are just like never good. Nobody likes them. They're uninteractive. They waste your time. They're boring to watch. Like I would say that, you know, hurt the game severely. But no, I mean, no, I think you can make an argument the game is, at least as far as competitively, right? Like if you want to take the game seriously and you want an experience that's like pretty diverse, I do think the game is in a good state. It could be better, of course. Like every fighting game could be better until the development starts. But no, I mean, the viable cameo selection is really diverse. There is probably no character in this game except maybe 3 or 4 that could not win a tournament, even including against like the top 5 characters.
I mean, that's not the problem whether they're not usable or not. The problem is that there are other cameos in the game that have a bunch of other cameos abilities pretty much just bundled into one, like Chameleon. Like she pretty much just has Serena's glaive ability, where she tosses her boomerang.
Yeah, but the problem is you don't have access to that at all times, so you have to wait through a cooldown. And
I mean, yeah, but like that's not that big of a deal as you might think it is, you know? Like she gives you access to
It's obviously
overheads.
not a big deal because whenever this game got updated and they brought a new cameo and the whole meta shift, and we saw that in tournaments, that when Chameleon came out, everyone else got dropped because Chameleon was doing what everybody else was doing. And it was like that for months. There would be a new character and a new cameo and the meta would start shifting.
Hey,
look at the finals. Like
how many cameos are
there? To watch.
Well, Chameleon's like, that's almost a whole different topic of conversation because like I would never put something like Chameleon in the game in the first place. That was just like objectively a stupid thing to put in. And that did kind of, if there was like a case, if you wanted to argue and prove cameo system was a bad idea, she was the proof of that. Because they just literally put in a Swiss Army knife anyone could pick. That was
Okay,
top
so what
tier.
about Serena? What about Cyrex? When Cyrex got nerfed, everybody went to Kung Lao.
When it comes to Cyrax is useful. He's selectively useful. But like, I mean, for my character, for example, he's actually very useful because he gives you like a true vortex in the corner that's inescapable because every time he touches you, he gets to put the net on you. So
I mean, I'm
that's
not
like
arguing that he's not useful. What I'm saying is that, like, with every cameo that has been added to the game or every nerf / buff, there has always been like the cameo that everybody uses. I mean, you look at the finals, right? Like MKTomBrady was saying, what was the finals? Johnny Cage mirror match with Chameleon. You look at the East Coast Throwdown. What was the final combatants there? I believe it was a Johnny Cage and Kung Lao.
Or 3-year cycle.
Just before I have CJ take over, could I just ask, like, we saw that leaked phone call where they were saying they wanted to aggressively market Mortal Kombat 1. When that, I don't know if you know this, but when that phone call was leaked, were you guys already working on the game, or did you guys have to start work when that leaked? Because I don't know if this was true, but I was told the turnaround time was like it was really fast. You guys didn't have much time to work on anything. There wasn't like a long development cycle.
No, we had a long development cycle. I mean, we were told, like, here's the schedule, here's what we're shooting for. You have more time now, so you won't have to crunch or super crunch. And then it turns out when I left, they had to go back to doing crunch and super crunch because a lot of things got jargled around and pushed around. Plus, COVID didn't really help with the mocap unions and the restrictions with that, with the what was it, the PCR testing and all that crap. So
How long was your development cycle then?
Let's see, when did MK11 end? Well, I think as we were doing Rambo or one of the last ones, and was it Melina? No, not Melina. I think Rambo. Yeah, it was right around Rambo's when, like, hey, we've got the branch set up for, the next game, and these are the ideas for the next game, and this person is now put on to that project to help flush out that prototype or vertical slice. And so yeah, I think we had about 4 years, I want to say,
for MK1.
For MK1, yeah. When did MK11 finish?
What?
Yeah,
we had 4 years, but okay.
2019.
Yeah, 2019
is when it shipped. So COVID. No, we were still working on MK11 during the height of COVID, like when everybody went remote.
Aftermath didn't come out until 2020.
Maybe it was 2020. I think late 2021 is when, like, the prototyping and all that stuff happened. And then 2022 for sure was when it went into like full production. So 2022, 2023 is 2 years. So 2.5. I have a 2.5 to 3 years.
I don't know if you guys have kind of caught on to it, but historically they've always had like a 4-year period where a game is out for 4 years and then they make the new one. From MKX to MK11, it was 4 years, and so on.
How much time do you reckon NRS needed? Do you think they had enough time to get out a good game, or do you? Because I thought you guys had much less time. I was under the impression that you guys had a very tight window. So
was I.
No, we had plenty of time. It's just that a lot of things with COVID screwed some stuff up with scheduling and restrictions, and how, a particular mocap union wanted to like set up things and get people in. And then also a lot of stuff did get outsourced, and that takes some time, and a lot of that stuff would come back broken, and then that would take more time to get it fixed. And so yeah, we weren't under a high stress of like, you only have 2 years to get this done, but because of all those pushbacks and COVID, I believe it was from April of 2023 to when it shipped in September is when they were doing like super crunch to be like, okay, we now have to crunch to get this out the door. And I didn't want to do that anymore. And so that was another one of the reasons why I left.
Fair play. All right, CJ, it's your turn to talk.
I really don't have much. Well, I do have a question for a question or two for blood count before I continue. What's this? I've been hearing rumors about this ninja Pink Floyd or something like that. Were you guys in cahoots of trying to create a character like that in Mortal Kombat?
I think that's one of the things I can't really discuss because of non-disclosure agreements.
Uh-oh. Never mind. Never mind. Well.
Everybody should have it on their forward throw and back throw, just like how everybody has it on their uppercut. And
yeah, man. I just want to say NetherRealm needs to get it together, man.
Yep.
And that's why I said what I said. If anybody feels like, because this is what I think should happen, I really do. The next game that they put out, I don't even want to see any pre-orders, man. They need to hurt. They need to really hurt bad.
But with your wallet.
Hurt bad. This is why I said what I said.
If they drop a trailer and then people go and try it out and it turns out to be a good game, I'm not against supporting it. I would be against it if they drop a trailer and there's another cameo mode. Then I wouldn't, even if
Mike.
I'm not interested if there was another cameo mode.
Mike,
but they've made good games before.
Mike, people were excited before the trailer, MK1, the very first time that they saw the trailer and some of the gameplay. It wasn't until that they started noticing things in the gameplay. It wasn't until that they started noticing things in the gameplay.
Yeah.
You don't think that's going to happen again?
No, it's not that I'm saying it won't happen again. I agree with you. I'm being somewhat optimistic here because
I'm not. I can't be optimistic, man, because I see the pattern. I see the pattern with NRS. I'm sorry. I understand you're optimist. I understand you're optimist. It's always good to hope, but this is NRS. This is NetherRealm Studios we're talking about.
What if they release a pink ninja?
They've done some stupid shit in the past. Okay, I've gone against you with Mortal Kombat, and I'm admitting that they've done so. What is that? That speaks volumes in itself.
Yeah, but I try to look at things on a case-by-case basis. So I hear where you're coming from. I hear where everyone's coming from, and look, this is coming
y'all
from
gonna
me.
be disappointed.
You guys will see me as like the hater of Mortal Kombat. Right? Even I'm saying that
I can't even see you. I'm gonna say it like this, Mike. I'm gonna say it like this. I can't even see you as a hater no more, man.
Well, Mike,
I know, like even with blood count, like they informed me of so much shit today. I gotta sit here and rethink some things now.
Look, Mike, I understand the idea of looking at things case by case basis. If Mortal Kombat 13 came out and they played like Mortal Kombat 9, and Katana looked cool, and she played like Mortal Kombat 9 Katana, I'm not gonna lie, I would actually start to look the other way. I'd be like, oh, that looks interesting. But how many times does a guy have to get hit in the head before he says, like maybe the next time I'm just not gonna be around to get hit in the head? I think like that's kind of like the argument he's making. Like your argument is reasonable that if the game is good, why wouldn't I buy it, right? But the thing is that
let's say it like this.
It takes like time to determine that. But in the time that it takes to determine that, you might have already gotten. So do I wait for everyone else to buy it? But then how do I know it's my opinion? I now have to rely on someone else's opinion on forming the game, on forming my opinion on the game rather than me purchasing it and then like seeing if I actually like the game or not. Do you kind of like see where he's coming from?
I see where CJ's coming from. I see where you're
Mike, let me tell you this real quick. If they prove me wrong and get their shit together, I will gladly say like, oh, I was wrong. I will gladly admit that I was wrong. You can even tag me.
and then he can just go buy the game afterwards, right?
And I'll
Like,
just buy the fucking game. Yeah, I was
Like-
wrong, Mike. I
Man,
can't wait to beat motherfuckers up with Johnny. Understand why people hate it so fucking much now.
Hey,
Right.
yo, can I say something real quick before I hop up for the night?
Yeah, go on.
So I think at the end of the day, we all just want the same thing, like I mean, just a fun game, that's kind of somewhat balanced. I mean, like nobody really wants that MK11 tournament with that girl crying for the the Shiva player happening with the next game,
Yeah.
that would suck. But yeah, I think if they can get it right, I mean, hopefully, I mean, it's an uphill battle, but how low can you go at this point? But if they can get it right, I mean, they can get some of their trust back. But that's all I really have to say. Y'all have a good night.
To kind of capitalize on that, right? I think the way that they